Hi guys. Oh, hold on. I have my music on. Sorry. I just realized in my last video I didn't even introduce myself. I had made those videos like really late at night because I remembered that I was gonna do them and I couldn't sleep, so I made them. Um, I'm Marisol, but everybody just calls me either Turbo or Mary. They just do. But yeah, so I guess this video will be more on like me and how I actually prepared for boot camp. Um, yeah. So before I actually got my job and my leave date, I didn't know what I was gonna do. I didn't know my job for sure, and I actually did try to get a difficult job. Physically, it was a seer job. Yeah, it was pretty hard because you actually have to take a physical exam called the pass test for it, and it was it was difficult for me just because I knew at the time when I was like going for it and training for it that I was not prepared. I was not ready to run as much as they made us run. I didn't even know how to swim at the time, and part of the test is swimming. I was the only girl there because in our group, I guess it was all just boys trying to go for PJs. And, like, of course, when the first day that I went to go take the practice test, I had never swam, I had never actually pushed myself, and I didn't think that they were going to push me the way they did that day. There was about 5 recruiters there, and all their recruits, and we went there really early in the morning. It was about 5:30, and they ended up getting there around 6. So my recruiter had messaged me the night before telling me about it. I didn't even know what the pass test was. I didn't know what a seer was. Like, I didn't know anything. He didn't really tell me. He just told me to go try out for it. And it was just a practice test, so it wasn't like the real deal. I wasn't really, going for it. I was just going for the exercise, is what I understood at the time. So we all showed up. There was a few guys that had already been in for a while, and they already knew they were gonna leave. They already knew they were gonna be like going to PJ school and everything after boot camp. So there was the first thing was the swimming portion, and I didn't know how to swim, and we were supposed to, for seniors, we were supposed to do a 500-meter swim above water. Again, I didn't know how to swim, so I didn't even do like half a lap. I ended up pretty much drowning, and they ended up having to take me out. And I had told my recruiter before that I didn't know how to swim, and I think he thought that I was like playing around. That I didn't, just because I didn't want to do it, but I honestly didn't know how to swim. So when he took me out of the water, he was like, "I thought you were kidding, all this and that. But do you want to keep going with the test?" And I was like, "Sure. What's the worst that can happen in this test?" Right after the swimming portion, they made us run a mile and a half, and it was timed. I hadn't run a mile and a half in forever. I hadn't timed myself. Their standards are very high. Like for girls, I think you have to finish the mile and a half in under 10 minutes or 9 minutes or something like that. And so yeah, my mile and a half sucked. Like I didn't know how. I couldn't run for shit. Like I was terrible. Sorry about my language. It was terrible. And of course, it's all these guys that like have been training for the longest, and they just flew by me and they beat me, and I felt so bad because they ended up having to wait for me until I finished. But they weren't mean about it. They kept cheering me on, and one of the guys actually, like, he's a friend of mine. He was there, and he just kept rooting for me. I did stop at one point, and they all started yelling at me. I didn't know that I was not allowed to stop, and so they were yelling at me, telling me to hurry up because they had other shit to do. So that was kind of it was new. I've never been like directly yelled at for being slow at running, so that was new. Right after the run, we drank a little bit of water and we took like a 1 minute break, and then right after that, we headed straight to the pull-up bar. I had no upper body strength. I looked at the pull-up bar and I was like, nope, it's not gonna happen. I'm not gonna do it. But my recruiter was like, you really just ran and you tried to do the swim and you're not even gonna try to do the pull-up. Like, are you serious? I did see it from his point of view, so I pushed through. I was only able to do like, I think 3, which, I mean, hey, I was proud of myself because I didn't even know I could do any. And right after that, like, all the guys did amazing, by the way. They were like big old buff guys, and I had no chance. Um, yeah, so right after the pull-up bar, we ended up doing sit-ups. Sit-ups for girls are a lot easier than for guys just because, I don't know, they just are. And so I passed the sit-up portion because we were supposed to do, I believe, 59 in under 2 minutes, and I was able to do like 68. So it wasn't that bad. And then the push-up portion, I barely passed it. They were supposed to do 49 in under 2 minutes, and I did 40. I think I did exactly 49 or 50. And like at one point, I wanted to just like quit halfway during the push-ups, and my recruiter like got down on my level, and he was like, "Don't you dare quit on me! What kind of shit is this? Don't quit on me!" And so that that kind of scared me a little bit, but it did give me that extra boost. And after everything, like I looked back on it and I was like, wow, I can actually do some of this stuff, not everything, but some of it. So, and that was the whole summer of this year that I ended up going for the trainings, and I ended up, it was nice because at any YMCA, if you're trying to leave into the military, or you're going, or at least in Houston, it is that way. They let you go in for free. They let you use their pools. Everything. They're really kind. They're really courteous. All you need is like your recruiter to go there and tell them that you are in fact leaving and you are, joining. So it was actually pretty nice. By the end of the summer, I ended up going to an actual test, and it was the scariest thing ever because there was actual like sergeants and everything in their uniforms, and they were there for the test. They were there watching us, and I actually managed to get the swim time for the girls first year um, was 500 meters in under 10 minutes. I actually got mine down to, no, not 500. Yeah, 500. Yeah, 500, I believe. I actually got mine down to 6 minutes and something. So my swim actually got really, really good. So I passed that barely. I did end up like throwing up afterwards just because I guess I was really nervous and I didn't want to fail. So I passed that portion. And then right after that, we ended up going for the run. I barely passed the run as well. But when I thought about it in the beginning when I first started running, my mile and a half was like at 16 minutes. It was terrible. And right now, well, when I took the test, I had it at around 10 something. So it wasn't that bad. And my push-ups and my sit-ups were like, I aced them. The only problem was when it came to the pull-ups. I did everything I could possibly to try to get my pull-ups better. Like, I did the upside-down push-ups. I did everything and anything that anyone would recommend me. But to pass, you have to do 8. I was only able to do 7. And they're really strict on that, so I ended up failing it. And I had still wanted to try to go for this job, but then I ended up going to MEPS. I ended up getting my job, and so, I'm happy with the job I have now. It's not as physically demanding, but I still kind of wish I had passed that pass test, so I would have been able to get here. But, I'm not gonna quit on it just yet. maybe I can get it later on in my Air Force career if, you know, I feel it's what I want and whatnot. But yeah, so physically, that's how I prepared, or I feel I prepared for the Air Force. I've I haven't gone in a few weeks to actually go swim with everybody and run with everybody and do everything, but just because I'm not getting that job. But I still run on my own, and every morning I try to do at least like 40 to 50 sit-ups and push-ups. And I do time myself, which that is key. Like, if you time yourself, because everything is going to be timed. If you time yourself now here and you see how much you can do, when you think about it, when you go to the boot camp, you're going to be working out every day. So it is going to increase. So if you already have a good amount, like if you can do a good amount now, even if it's just like 20 or 15, if you can do like 15 solid ones or 20 solid ones now, imagine when you leave and you actually go and have to work out every day. By the end of it, you're going to be able to probably double that or maybe even triple that if you work really hard. And it is honestly just everything in your mind. Like, you have to, don't say I can't, because I learned when I would go to the trainings, every time that I would quit on myself, I would feel terrible. Like, I knew I could do it. I just didn't want to. I couldn't. Like, in my mind, I felt like I couldn't. And I didn't want to give that extra push. But towards the end of the training that I did with everybody, like, even though it hurt or like I was sore or I was tired, like, I pushed through, and I would always, you know, get closer to what I want to do or where I want to be at with my training. So that's what I can tell people now. Like, even now, when I go to my DEPS meetings, right now there are more girls than boys in my DEPS meetings, which, oh, and DEPS is delayed entry program meetings. And once you swear in and you sign in and you have your job and everything, or before you get your job, you go to these meetings and you do a lot of things. Like, you work out, they explain to you what to expect in boot camp, graduation, tech school. If you have like a really cool recruiter, which my recruiter, he shares an office with another recruiter, and she actually had the job that I have now when she first started. So she's been like really helpful. She's been telling me, answering me all my questions. It's nice to have her there because he can't answer certain questions because he's not a girl. But yeah, she's been like, she's like, we play around. Like, she's like my Air Force mom in a way, just because I've been through this process so long, and they both know me, and they've both known me for already a year and almost a year and a half. So yeah, like, I mean, I'm not saying that not all recruiters are like that, because I have met other Air Force recruiters that aren't like that. I just got lucky. You know, my recruiter didn't quit on me the whole year and a half that I was trying to leave. So that was pretty good, because I had a guy going to my dep telling me he did have an Air Force recruiter who pretty much vanished on him. And that does happen, unfortunately, but not most of the time. So don't worry. If you have one of those, try to stick them out. If not, yeah, go look for a different recruiter, you know. There's only so much you can do. But yeah, I got lucky with mine. So that's what I did for my training. And I believe, I'm not honestly sure, but I believe you can go to these trainings with the other people, like, whenever you want. If you talk to your recruiter and ask him, you don't have to go for the job. You can just go for the practice and the training, which I definitely recommend, because it's so worth it. Like, you don't regret it. You never do. Or I haven't, you know. I feel it's made me a better person. Like, I actually lost quite a bit of weight from it. When I went to MEPS, I was at 126, I believe. My max weight is 131.